Kaspa is a project that I have seen mentioned thousands of times ever since I started first looking into cryptocurrency, but I'd never actually taken the time to look into why it had such a passionate community behind it. So today we're going to look into what Kaspa is, what they do, the advantages and disadvantages of it, and where we think it could go in the bull run. Much wants to become what Bitcoin's original objective was. Now, with Bitcoin, a lot of people do feel that this is now more comparable to gold, and that's because Bitcoin tends to be held as a store of value, whereas Kaspa wants to become like a digital silver. So silver was historically treated as less precious than gold, but more circulative. So in effect, it's less valuable, but it's more acceptable as a payment. Now, the founder of Kaspa, Jonathan Saplinsky, started gaining reputation within the crypto academic circle all the way back in 2013. Now, this was when him and Professor Zohar conceived the Ghost protocol, which is the foundations of the block DAG that they're currently using with Kaspa. So Kaspa were the original founders of the Ghost DAG proof of work consensus protocol, and it incorporates orphan blocks into the chain to form this block DAG. So there's one super important thing that each cryptocurrency project has to overcome, and that is how they can solve the crypto trilemma. So Kaspa's consensus layer fast block rate decreases the variance of mining income, which then in turn decreases incentive to join mining pools, and this helps to contribute towards decentralization that is possible on the block. So in terms of scalability, because their consensus layer removes security as a bottleneck for high throughput, and this allows the block rate and the block size to increase up to what the network can handle. And of course, Kaspa network is aiming to be highly secure, and this is because they use a fast first confirmation, which enables use cases that need immediate proof of publication but not immediate reversibility. So this would be like in terms of e-commerce, for example. So as a result of all of the technology that is backing Kaspa, this is quickly becoming the fastest proof of work blockchain. Now, before we look into the chart, I wanted to discuss something that I find really interesting about Kaspa. So obviously most blockchains are launched as a proof of stake, and this has kind of become the go-to thing, right? But because Kaspa is a proof of work network in its true form, there is no pre-mining of tokens. So they didn't give a certain amount of tokens to investors when they launched in 2021. It literally launched at 0 tokens, and it has just increased ever since as the miners have been creating tokens and mining blocks essentially. So another thing that I actually really like about it is that the community itself raised $50,000 to get Kaspa listed on Mexi to cover the listing fee. So as I did mention at the start, the community for Kaspa is really, really strong, and the fact that they went out of their way to raise the money to get it on Mexi is incredible. Okay, so we'll jump over to the chart. So if we are looking at it over the monthly, so okay, we can see that it's down 1.5%, but overall it has been generally a very choppy month for crypto overall. So it's not unusual to see the kind of smaller guys take a harder beating from these kind of market conditions. Now, the market cap is currently sitting at just over 2.3 billion, and we have a circulating supply of 22.4 billion. Now, another thing that I like is that we do have a maximum supply for this. So the maximum supply for it is capped at 28.7 billion KAS, and we can see that there's already 78% in the circulating supply. Now, I love it when it's like this because it purely just means that there's reduced risk of dilution of the price. So since KAS has launched, it has already done 100x. So before you come for me and say that it's way too late, it's already gone up way too much, there are a few things to remember with this. So Kaspa is literally at its infancy stages. So currently there's no smart contracts, layer 2 protocols or tokenization systems in place for this just yet. But they are currently rewriting the Kaspa programming language from Go to Rust. So this is an essential development because it will enhance the performance and manage the complexities of the block DAG. So by rewriting the program into Rust, it will allow them to achieve the 10 blocks per second, which allows for greater scalability and throughput on it. And they've just recently reopened their testnet 11 for second trials. So they did launch it, I believe, last year, and they've effectively gathered the data from this, seen what needs to be improved, and they've worked on trying to perfect it, and they've gone for second trials. So the main advantage of Kaspa using the DAG protocol is the speed of transactions in DAG. So they're not bound by block times, and this offers them rapid transaction processing without limits on the transaction volume. So because you have this parallel processing, you can have very quick transaction settlements compared to regular blockchains who use linear processing. Also, DAG-based network diagrams generally have lower transaction costs compared to blockchains like Ethereum or Avalanche. Now, I do know that pretty much everything is lower cost compared to Ethereum now, but it does make Kaspa very suitable for microtransactions, so I feel like it's still a great advantage and it should be mentioned. Now, a little less of a technical one, but as I said, Kaspa is such an early project. It's effectively just a baby. It's already managed to 100x without any token allocation. It's just been down to purely mining. So when we consider the possibilities, once Rust is fully functional and if they can reach their end goal of 100 blocks per second, I just don't think there's any reasonable way to predict where it could go, because it really is just the beginning for it. Now, to balance out all of the positivity, I'm going to hit you with some of the negatives. So there is a lack of current utility that we should address. So effectively, Kaspa just now is only used for transactions, but as we know, they are building the utility and they are just a baby project with a lot of growth to do. But for the short-term investors, it would probably be one you would want to skip. And there is also no funds or grants that could be used to incentivize developers to want to build on Kaspa. So this is because it's a proof of work, fair mined and leaderless. It does put up a bit of a barrier, as developers could be less likely to want to use Kaspa purely just because it is new technology. It's not tried and tested like what other layer ones are. So I know that Kaspa has a super loyal following, so maybe going over potential negatives might not go down well, but we are all about balance here, and I do think it's important to pick little holes in everything that we do before deciding our investments. But overall, compared to how some projects are, it doesn't have a great deal of downsides. The main downside is just that it is such a new project that has a lot of work to do on it, but the growth on it could be insane. So personally, I do think that Kaspa has some really good potential in it as a project. I think that the rewriting of the programming from Go over to Rust is going to be a huge development for it when this all goes live and comes out of the testing stages. And the fact that it has grown so significantly as a proof of work is impressive, along with the fact that it is all based purely on mining. So there's no chance of there being a sudden increase in the supply, which would then lead to a dilution of the price. And lastly, I think as we start to see the ecosystem all come together, as more utilities get implemented into it, we will start to see some drastic price movements on it. But anyway, let me know where you see Kaspa going in 2024. Is it a token that you hold? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you the next time. Bye.